My book is written in two parts, and the second half digs deep into a relationship with my great aunt. She was the one I wanted to love me, and she was as racist as they came. And like many racists, she kept it very hidden. And I don't want to give it all away because I do hope that you will consider reading my book. But she made a tremendous scene at my sister's wedding, letting the world know what she thought of me. And although she had been like a surrogate parent to my mother did as my family did. You're not welcome here. We got a call many years later that she never had children, although she was married 8 times. And literally 8 times. And my mother was listed in her trust as her sort of next of kin, and the state had conserved her, and she had Alzheimer's. And did we want to come see what was going on? And for reasons that, again, are very complex. I mean, my mother cut this woman off who had given her a home when she needed one. And my mother at the time was not well, and I was in a position to go and see what was going on. And so I wanted to give my mother that peace of mind and see what was happening. And so I flew up to San Francisco, and I ended up caring for her and fighting the state to get her custody put into my mother's care and get her she was in a substandard facility. Like, it was this nightmare. And I took care of her for 2 years, and then moved her to Chicago, so once the courts allowed for it, so that she could be closer to my mother in her final days. And so that is what the question is referring to. How on earth do you show any sort of kindness or love to someone who literally looked at me in public in front of God and everyone and said, well, nothing is worse than black? And the answer is this. One, my initial decision was an act of love for my mother. I wanted her to have some sense of peace around that. And so the initial impetus for me to go was out of love for my mother. But once I was there and I saw the state of things, and it was a state. I mean, it was horrifying. For me, there wasn't a choice to make, and here's why. At the end of the day, I think every person is faced with a moment where you have to decide who you are going to be in that moment, right? And we all say all kinds of things about the people that are terrible to us. I wouldn't spit on the best part of them. I'm going to wear a red dress to their funeral. We say all kinds of things. But when you are faced with a choice, and you understand that walking away literally would leave this person to suffer, unspeakably suffer. To me, there was no choice to be made. I was not going to meet hate with hate, right? I know what it is to be hated simply because I exist. Why on earth would I put more of that out into the world in an act of vengeance? That's what it would have been. Leaving her there to suffer would have been an act of vengeance. And I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if I had done that. Was it easy? Was it joyful? No. It was not. But at the end of the day, I have to be able to look myself in the mirror and know who I am. I have to be able to lay my head down at night and know that I am the best version of myself that I can be. And for me, that means putting love out into the world. And so that's how I ended up there. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. That having been said, I will also say this. One never has to subject themselves to abuse. That is not love, and that is not self-love. And the first person that you have to love is yourself. So it's important to also acknowledge that. But that is how I ended up caring for her. And I know who I am because of that. I know exactly who I am because of that choice and that moment. And I'm not sorry.